guys, welcome to my channel. On IG I had asked you guys what kind of video you guys wanted to see, whether it was a Q&A and how it's like being a teen mom, or the story about the time I found out I was pregnant. And you guys voted about the story about the time I found out I was pregnant. So yeah, let's begin. So the time I found out I was pregnant was around summer in July, and me and his father were seeing each other a lot during the summer. We have known each other for years, but this time we were actually like being serious, and we were like, okay, let's try being a couple, because we would always be like, oh, we're not gonna date. Like, we were those kind of like friends, like, oh, we're not gonna date, like, no, I don't like him, blah blah blah. So we were actually trying, and during the time he was going through some family problems, which I'm not gonna get into because that is his business. But yeah, he was going through some stuff, so me and him would kind of see each other a lot, because I was always there for him, as how a girlfriend should be there for their boyfriend, like when they're going through something. And during that time of us seeing each other a lot, we did have intercourse, and we were not being safe. So how everything all started was, me and my cousins have gone to Six Flags. This was around June, like at the end of June. We had gone to Six Flags, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna fucking get high, we're gonna do all of that. So we were taking dabs off the rig, we were eating edibles, and we were smoking a lot. While that was going on, it was summer, so it was really hot, and I was really like not feeling myself during that time because it was hot. So I was just like, oh, this is killing my high, and yeah. Sorry I cut it, it's just that he was about to wake up, and I really didn't want him waking up because it is hard to put him back to sleep. But okay, so I was faded, and it was summer, so I was faded, and I was like, okay, like I wasn't just feeling myself, like I was just not feeling how I always feel when I am faded. I was just thinking like, maybe it's just the sun, like it's really hot, like it's killing my high, like the same, like no. And then we were hungry, so we were going to the Chinese place that they have at Six Flags. I think it's called like Chopsticks, I don't know, but we were going there, and my cousin, my tia, and me started eating, and we were eating, and they were like, this ain't right, like not this ain't right, but they were like,
this ain't it, chief,
this is nasty, like. And I was like, no, like I have the munchies, I know what, if I keep eating it, I'm gonna get that, like, damn, this is dank, you know, like I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like that was all I was thinking, like I'm gonna end up liking it. And so I bit the orange chicken, and I was like, no, like this is not good. Like I don't know, not I don't mean to drag Six Flags and their Chinese food, but that day it was just not good. So we were we get the Six Flags cup, and when we get the Six Flags cup, I fill it up with Sprite, because I do not like water. If you know me, you know I don't like water. So I get a Six Flags cup, and I fill it up with Sprite, and I don't know, I think I just felt dehydrated, and I kept drinking it, and every time we would finish, I would go refill it with more Sprite, and it just kept going on like that. So we were in line for Warren Rapids, and when we were in line, I just didn't feel good, and I told my aunt, like, I think I'm gonna throw up. And then she was like, no, you're fine, don't think about it, everything's gonna be fine. And I was like, okay, whatever. So there was like this rolling, and I like my aunt, my cousin was there, and I like kind of like didn't push them, but I was like, I have to throw up. So I go and I throw up, and after I threw up that one time, I was like, you know what, I feel better. So I went back to the spot I was at, and then again I felt like throwing up. And at this point, I did not care who was looking at me, like I did not care. I threw up, like on the spot, I threw up. And they were like, oh my god, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, you know what, let's get you some water, because you've been drinking all this Sprite. And I was like, ugh, because I don't like water, like I really don't. Like if you know me, you know I don't like water. So and then they gave me water, and I was like, let's go to the bathroom, I need to clean up. So we go to the bathroom, they do a braid on my hair, and I drank that water, and I felt fine. Like after that, we went on Tatsu, like I felt perfect. So I was like, I'm fine. It was just the heat, like everything, the food was just not good. So and then after that, my little cousins were here, because it was summer, so my little cousins do come from Arizona, and they were here, and my aunt had told them we're gonna go to the beach. And So she told me like, oh, do you want to go to the beach? And I was like, yeah. So it was already like July. It was July 15 or 16. I don't know. It was around those days. And she comes and she picks us up. So I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that day we were going to go to the beach. And I threw up. And I threw up like yellow and nasty. And I was like, hold on. Look who woke up. Okay, so I threw up yellow and nasty at 4 in the morning. And I was like, I just thought it was like orange juice that I drank the day before. So I kind of brushed it away. But after I threw up, I was really hungry. And I went to the kitchen and I made myself a big ass torta. I probably said that funny, I don't care. So after that, I fell asleep and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm fine. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, I woke up again to throw up. It was the same thing, yellow and nasty. And I was like, I remember my friend telling me that when she found out she was pregnant, she was throwing up yellow and nasty. So that's when I was like, okay, my period's late. And my period, I knew it was late, but I'm irregular. So I was like, I'm going to get it later on. So, and then after that, my tia came around like 8 and she was like she knocked on the door and I opened it and I was like, I need a pregnancy test. And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, okay. Like, and she started telling me like, oh, how you're feeling and this and that. And I was like, well, I've been feeling fine. Like I honestly did feel fine. Like I was like, I'm feeling fine. My period is late, but I am irregular. And she was like, have you thrown up? And I was like, yes, this morning. And she was like, what color was it? And I was like, yellow. And she was like, congrats, you're pregnant. And I was like, no, don't say that. Like, you don't know. So we go to the store and we buy a pregnancy test. And I take it. And right away, it came out positive. And when it came out positive, I cried. Like, I started sobbing. And I was crying. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because at that time, I was just like, I'm not trying to be like oh, Debbie Downer, but I was like, me and the father are not gonna be together, because at that point we were already fighting for a whole week and we were not talking to each other. So I was like, damn, like I'm really gonna go through this alone, like, and I have to tell my parents. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, ugh. And after that, I went home. Well, we were at the beach, and that was the only thing that was in my mind. I was like, damn. But at the same time, I was like happy and excited in a way, because come on, it's a baby. Like, who's not gonna be excited? So and then I went home and I told my mom, because I was in my head, I was like, I'm not gonna wait any longer to tell my parents. I'm gonna need my parents now more than ever. So I told my mom and my grandma, because my dad does not live with us. So I told them first. And they were disappointed, and my mom's like, you better call your dad right now. So I went into my room. I was crying. I went into my room and I was calling my dad, calling him, and he didn't answer. And so I FaceTimed him and he answered. And he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And then he was like, she's pregnant. I guess he thought I was talking about my mom. And I was like, no, me, I'm pregnant. And he was like, by who? And then I told them the father's name, and my dad does know him. And he was like, what are you gonna do? Like, you already know what he's going through. And I was like, I know. And then I was crying. I was just crying because he was quiet, like, when I first told him. And I was like, oh my God, like, really? Like, I know he's disappointed, and that hurts. Oh my God, you don't know commercial. I fucking hate that, girl. And then and then my mom knocks on my door and she was like, have you told them? And I showed her my phone, since we were FaceTiming, and she grabbed my phone and she was like, did she tell you already? And my dad's like, yeah, esta pendeja. And that's the worst thing my parents could call me, because I will bawl like a baby. So I was like bawling like a baby. My dad's like, no, you don't call her that. So I was like sobbing, and my mom hugged me and she was like, it's gonna be okay, I'm gonna be there for you, like, I'm gonna talk to him. And I was like, okay. Like, that kind of made me feel better. I was like, okay, like, you know, but I was still scared because it's my dad, like, you know. So my brother, he ended up finding out too, and my brother was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a tío. He probably like the only one I was kind of happy at the moment, including me and like my aunt, but you know. And we were in my room, and he ends up leaving, and he's like, he's like, I would lock this door if I was you. And I was like, okay. So he locks it for me, and not even like 5 minutes later, you hear my dad coming in through the main door, and not saying hi to everybody, but you hear his thumbs coming towards my room, and he's just knocking on my door really hard. And my mom's like, no, like, we're gonna talk first, and this is like this and that. And then they go into the other room, and the other room is the neighbor of my room, like, you know, it's like the next room. So I hear everything, and the walls are like not thin, but like you could hear, like I could hear everything that they're saying. And I'm just crying because they're arguing, and my dad's are like, this is your fault, la 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 la. And I was like, ugh. Like, I just felt so bad. And then my brother knocks on my door, and he was like, it's time. Like, not it's time, like he was just like, they want to talk to you now. And I was like, okay. So I go in the room. We were all crying. Like, I go in the room, and my dad's like, what happened? And then I told them, I was like, I'm pregnant. And then he was like, really? Like, he was just really disappointed. And then he was like sobbing, like, and to see my dad cry, like, that hurt me even more. And then I like was crying, and then I told him, like, I was like, but you said you were always gonna be there for me. And I guess that's when I hit him, and he was like, damn, like, for real, like, you know. So he just like stopped, and he froze, and he looked at me, and he was like, and he just opened his arms, and he was like, and I hugged him, and he was like, I'm gonna be there for you, like, you know, like basically just telling me like he was gonna be there for me. And I just feel so much better. I'm telling you, like, if you guys find out you're pregnant, like, don't hesitate to tell your parents. Like, of course they're gonna be disappointed at first, but it's normal. Like, it's just normal. And especially like my age, like, it's just normal. They are gonna be mad, but trust me when I tell you that your parents are gonna be your best friends, like, during this pregnancy. Whether if it's just your mom or your dad, like, they're gonna be your best friends doing everything. And so I ended up telling them. At that point, we're all crying. I'm crying, my mom's crying, my dad's crying, my brother's crying. And my mom's like, you're gonna be a grandpa. My dad's like, I didn't want to be a grandpa at a young age. So I ended up telling them. Everybody in my family ended up telling them too, because my mom made me tell. Well, obviously, like, I'm not gonna make her tell all my family, but I had to tell all my family. And yeah, like, 9 months later, I have this little Peanut who's covering his face. He always does. And yeah, like, I just love him so much. Being a mom has changed a lot. Like, it changed me a lot. Like, damn. And yeah. Papa. I'm not gonna get in the story of when I told my baby's father, because that was more personal and more like, just more like stressful and like annoying, and I don't want to tell that story since he is not part of Sebastian's life. So that is the story of how I found out I was pregnant, and I am really happy now because I have him in my life, and it's just a beautiful experience. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and following our little journey. It's just beginning. Please follow me on all my social medias if you guys want to vote on what video you guys want to see next. Everything's at Little Mama Viri, Snapchat at Little Mama Viri, and Twitter at Little Mama Viri. I will leave it here. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and yeah.